because this whole thing is going to be divided into 7 sections, which will be included with a small activity that I will conduct. You can either do it on your notepad or you can use any software if you want while I'm conducting this whole thing. Just let me know when I should start and we can begin. Let's start. Cool. Okay. Okay. Definitely. But you'll have to have like a background of BDES, which is Bachelorate in Designing, for doing graphics or any art background in general. Or you can see options for that too, but like some art stuff would also be helpful. Definitely. We'll get there. Just for the side note, let's take on, we'll have like a Q&A at the end of this whole thing. So let's just start with the session as of now. Cool. Yeah. So when I was, okay, guys. So when I was a student, when I started studying designing, it was really difficult for me to really start, like understand how a portfolio is made. Behance was like the first thing which like came across to us, and we basically did not have any backup as such, like someone who could like actually explain us how you can like post or like upload your project on Behance. Well, I completely like relied on YouTube or like some sort of articles or just used my creativity in general. So based on that, I've tried to break it down for you guys into 7 sections. So firstly, show only your best work in your Behance portfolio and that you're very proud of. You don't have to rely on me, but definitely you can take notes, like whatever you think is right from whatever I speak today, because I'll be learning from you guys and you'll be learning from me. Anyway, a small portfolio that contains and consists of best of your work is just as good as an extensive one. That's first. Then second, pictures speak. When you're constructing a Behance portfolio, ideally your project should consist of 6 to 15 images. As I've mentioned, a recruiter or the hiring agent only have a little time to review a portfolio. So these many motives should suffice, which is 6 to 15. I will show you the complete breakdown of how the 16 to 15 motives look like on a single project. Be to the point with your project description and make sure that the text is legible. Rule of thumb, never let your text be lesser than 8 to 10 points. That's a design rule of thumb that you really need to keep in mind. Because being a student back in college, like I never really knew like how the text would look really huge on the screen, but once it comes out in print, it suddenly looks really small. So never go below 8 to 10, 8 to 10 points below on the text. Third, categories. What sort of projects you need to include on your Behance portfolio. Now, talking about what kind of projects need to be displayed in a graphic designer portfolio, my answer to this would be you should be diverse. Don't limit yourself and your portfolio when it comes to the categories. Your portfolio should at the least include branding, typography, publication, packaging design, photography, and to extension of this illustration, UI UX, motion graphics, and 3D design. These all are the segments that need to be there on your Behance portfolio, but at the least, you really need to have branding, typography, publication, packaging design, and photography, like I've mentioned. Do you all have any questions till now? Because I'm going to complete this one more section and then we are going to carry on with a small activity where I'm going to show you. Um, well, okay. How do you learn typography? I feel um, I feel there are a lot of things that you could do to learn typography is basically explore different sort of fonts. Internet has like a lot of fonts that you can explore, fun fonts that you can explore with, and just making compositions. Like you can use like a simple like a line and just play around with it with different fonts on just one single frame, different colors that you could play around with, create a color palette for the same, and just like play around that thing and see what seems the best in your eyes, or like take feedback. Just see there are a lot of options and a lot of things that you could do with typography, honestly. But yeah, if you want me to do like a small activity, we can get back to that later. Anyway, so talking about motifs and details. So motifs are basically the tiles that you can see on Behance portfolio, like on a project on Behance. The art of detail, as it's called, the small details of your project can be displayed through these motifs. These can be, example, the features of your project, which is typography, large photographs, illustrations, patterns, or elements of complex design. Uh, which kind of sums up to details not only count as an extension for your project, but also turn a good portfolio into a great portfolio. So going towards fifth section of this whole thing, the result is really important, but how you approached it, the way you approach the whole project is also important. Of course, it's the result that counts, but don't just show the finished creations. What's more exciting is how you achieved it, the strategy, the plan, and mainly work in progress, which is WIP. This can count in your portfolio, which shows a detailed case study with sketches and motifs marked as WIP. This will be really helpful for the recruiter to understand that you have the ability to have a strategic approach towards design and not just visuals. It's not really like a needful thing that needs to be there on your portfolio, but it's a big plus one. So the whole process not only just goes into vain if you're just going to keep it in your desk, like just rather create a layout and actually display the whole structure of like how you approach the design. Sixth one, this is like one of the main thing that I realized throughout my entire graphic design journey is don't publish unfinished business or project in general. First impressions do count on Behance, just like they do in general. Make sure before publishing you have collected all the necessary collaterals. Definitely, Harpreet. I'm gonna get back to it and I'm gonna show you what an example of motif is. Make sure before you're publishing your all the necessary collaterals, motifs, elements are in place. This can either be done on Photoshop, Illustrator, Adobe XD, which is the UI UX app by Adobe, or Behance itself. Behance has a draft option where you can actively share your thoughts or your ongoing project with other designers and your mentor for feedback. I will show you how that the draft section on Behance also works. So you have an idea of how you can create and construct a Behance portfolio on Behance itself without using any other software, external software. Moving towards the activity, I would like to know if you guys have any questions. So we can start with the construction of the layout for your Behance portfolio project. Hello, is anyone here? How do you go from GD to UI? You don't really have to go from GD to UI. Honestly, being in the industry for not as long as a year, I've noticed people who haven't even been in graphic design background have been become a UI UX designer, which is quite surprising for all of us who've been studying graphic designing. But it's a really huge thing that designing in general is growing rapidly in India, which is a really big thing. Definitely, Harpreet, that's also possible. You just need to have like a proper like a very small portfolio also does work wonders. I'm sure like if you are interested in graphic designing, you have some projects or some illustrations or some explorations you've done in general other than being a content writer, I'm sure. So that could be used to create a small portfolio that the recruiters can see and like judge you based on that. And yes, you can be hired for a graphic design position even though you're a content writer. Definitely, Ritik, that's completely possible. Anyway, guys, I'm going to share my screen now and I'm going to show you how you can construct a layout and how easy it can be. Okay, my God, 1 second. Give me a minute, you guys. There's some issue. Hi guys, I'm sorry there was some sort of technical problem and I'm back. I'm sharing my screen right now. Yep, here we go. Can you just let me know if you can see my screen? Just you can see my screen. Okay, cool, sweet. Cool. This project was based on a soy-based candle. So the name is Dainty Candles. The main focus here was the logo and the nomenclature of the brand, and all the visuals were created after that. So to make it simpler, the width of the frame needs to be at the most 1440 pixels, as you can see. You can break it down into different frames and create like 7 to 15 frames and just add up. I can show you again how it can be done. Just create one artboard and you can or right on the right side of the frame of the screen you can see new artboard, and you can just keep on adding. The same can be done for multiple frames, multiple artboards in general. Here, as you can see, the first artboard is going to be the landing frame when you go on the on the Behance project portfolio. Then the second one is the project description, as you can see. The third one should be the color palette and the details. So these are the motifs, Harpreet. I don't know who was asking earlier, but the tiles, the frames are basically the motifs which are used to display the project. So this can be either divided or like created into one single artboard and just created back to back. But here I've tried to break it down into different frames, so it's easier to space it out when I'll start uploading this on Behance. As you can see here, I've also mentioned along with the color palette and the icons, the kind of what typeface that I've used and what all weightage of typefaces I've used in the project. So this is how you can mention along with the, there are a lot of options and ways to do this, but this is my standardized template, as you can see on other projects of mine, which you can see after going through my Behance portfolio. Every other person would have their individual way of doing it, and Pinterest is another place where you can take inspiration from and be a little explorative about it. Then this was the then you can create a different frame where you can show either the product on the right, where the sticker has been placed on the product itself. Then this is the coasters that I've made. When you're creating a project, I think it's important to know what kind of collaterals you want to bring through the project. So here on my project, I've thought of posters, I've thought of labels for the product, then I've thought of the kind of typography that I need to show, then the icon, how the icon can have the color options, that's another thing. Then the kind of packaging, what sort of pattern would be there on the packaging, that's another thing. Then these are called organic posts that could be used on like a platform on Instagram if I have to have a page for my product. Then comes the photography that I've done. These are the kind of collaterals that need to be taken into consideration when you're constructing a layout for your Behance portfolio. I hope this makes sense. And if you guys have any questions, please drop in. Can you share your animation part of your portfolio? Vishal, for first things first, it's completely on you, on an individual. If you want to bring animation noticed in your portfolio, it's not very necessary, but it can be a part of your portfolio. Animation is not something I uh, counts in as my skill or like is part of my personality as being a graphic designer. What my field of what I like to explore is branding, visual communication, then illustration, photography. These are the fields of choice for me being a graphic designer. College projects. Definitely. All my projects that I've done in my portfolio were done while I was in college. These were actually my college assignments that I tried to and tried to construct it so well that they aren't even looking like college assignments, but professionally they will work in my portfolio. For okay, how can I only showcase only logo in portfolio? Avinash, you really need to have. You can show WIP, work in progress, as you start off showing your logo on one specific project. Like if your project is just about logo, you need to show the work in progress, your project description, what the client brief was for the logo. Then comes the different sort of approaches for your logo. Then finally you can show the final logo that you've came to conclusion with. Harpreet, for motifs, which is basically the frames that I showed you just now, it completely depends from project to project what kind of motifs would be needed. It's like I said, for a candle brand, it could be the landing frame, then it could be then it's the project description, then the color palette, the typography, then the logo, the typeface. Then it could be the other collaterals, which is the coaster, the project label, that the sticker that goes on the product, then photography, then the packaging pattern. All those things come into thought. You really need to think about all these things, and then you can start with like constructing your layout for your Behance portfolio. How can you do the R&D for logo project? Uh, for logo project, okay, it could be as simple, like you really need to have like a small brief set in your mind when you're starting with anything, not just a logo project. You really need to have like a clear idea what your project is gonna be about, what the brief is, what what the brand is going to be about. You really need to have like a clear idea. For me, I wanted something that not only shows, for dainty candles I'm talking about, is delicate, but also something which is bright and we like a brand. Which software is best for portfolio? Illustrator or Photoshop, whatever you're comfortable with. I feel Photoshop is much better for photo manipulation and just doing heavy duty projects. Illustrator, meanwhile, is much more convenient and feasible to use. Can you show your brand inspiration from where you got inspired? Avinash, you can go through my mood board. I have everything pinned on my Behance portfolio. You can take inspiration from there. You can follow me on Instagram. I mean, there's a lot to explore, honestly. Like, my inspirations have been from all over the place. Just be very observant about what is happening around you, and I think you'll be good to go. Kajal, I was in MIT, Institute of Design, which is based in Pune. Any more questions, you guys? Name of engraving. Sorry. Can you suggest some good colleges for UI UX design in India for masters? Our college, as an MIT Institute of Design, does have a course in masters in UI UX design. Then even Symbiosis. Then there's UID, the IIT. All these colleges do offer courses, masters in UI UX design. If you guys have any questions uh, after this session, y'all can definitely DM and approach and like have a word with me. I'm completely open to conversations. No, the general masters in UI UX, not the general masters in UI UX. Word of mouth, Kunika, is the main thing. That's how I landed a good internship. You have to become very active. Be very active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place to be. Be active on Instagram. Be active on Behance. Be a part of a community on probably Behance has a lot of communities happening around. Comment on projects, like them, save them, be recognized, uh, talk to people, just be a part of engaging communities. That's how you're gonna get the word of mouth. Other than that, keep applying. I don't think so there's an end to it. Never lose hope. I've applied to almost 50, 80 places, been rejected, been accepted, but that's how you're gonna land a good internship, and you're gonna know when it's the right time. Any master programs in GD? Definitely, Sanskriti. There are a lot of programs in masters for graphic designing. As far as I know, IIT Guwahati has started with a BDES program in graphic design, which is a really great, crazy move, I feel. But yeah, there are a lot of master's program in graphic design as well in India itself. Phil, do you do your graduation? I graduated from graphic design itself, and I'm currently working as a graphic designer in Sleepy Owl. Can we use a portfolio to create a portfolio as a curriculum? Harpreet, if I have to be honest and transparent, I've never used Adobe Portfolio. I started off with Behance Portfolio. Around that time, we did not have Adobe Portfolio, so I really have zero thoughts on it. But I'm sure it's more easier and more user friendly compared to Behance, as it's a newer software for portfolio. Well, Yukti, it's I have a 10 to 6 job. That's how my day goes. And other than that, I like to stay active with my design capabilities. Like, I wouldn't stop right there after my day ends at work. I like to explore. I like to go through projects, be interact with people, look at new designs, look at new projects, illustrate, doodle. That's how your mind just keeps like going, and it doesn't just stop there. That's how your creative block doesn't show up. It won't happen just in a day. Too, you need to keep going. Basically, confused. Okay, Avinash, how would I choose one that? In which direction of graphic design should I move? Okay, Avinash, great question. Honestly, when I started off with designing, that wasn't the first thing that I thought. I wanted to study architecture, but our government changed the entire curriculum, and introduced JE paper 2, and that's the end of my journey with architecture. And I was studying for designing on the other hand. So that's how I went ahead with it. I kept studying it. I tried to learn, grasp as much knowledge as I could, read articles. That's how your interest builds. You keep doing something, you get to know about it, you get to know how this industry works, how much difference it can make in someone's life, and that's how like you get to know about yourself and of the about the industry. No, no, like work itself. What kind of creatives do you do? I'm asking, so I'm looking to shift to GD. Okay, so I mainly work on organic posts, then email creatives, then ad banners, then there are static ads, packaging design. These are the kind of creatives I get to work on. So it completely depends, Yukti, because even the kind of team that you're working with matters at the end of the day. So this should be also a question that you need to ask when you're being hired at some organization or a company. What kind of team is there in house? What all team members are there in the team? Like who all are included? It's really important. So to know how the work is distributed inside the company, inside the team. Vishal, can I put my official mail ID here because we are hiring you? Okay, definitely you can. I mean, that's on Crater. Harpreet, I'm still learning in the learning field, still learning the PS and AI. What all things do I need to showcase enough as a beginner? A branding project would be a really sweet start, Harpreet. I feel your basic understanding, like I said, you need to break it down. You need to understand what your brand is about, what your project is about, the project description, what all collaterals you want to be there in your project. Uh, I mean, is typography, illustration, what else is required for me to learn? Harpreet, I think illustration typography is the way to start with. You really need to explore like color palettes because color palettes do play an important role when you're building a brand because colors do make a huge impact visually and become like a project. So, okay, she's working in Matthew. Matthew. Okay. Also, can you suggest some good agencies or companies? Also, you should definitely try for Deloitte, Accenture, then the TCS, Tata, LXC. These are the MNCs that you can work with who have like great packages and great internship opportunities. I feel they are constantly recruiting, and I feel that's the best place to start with. Other than that, word of mouth does help, and I feel getting in touch with like different designers does make a huge difference when you're looking for job opportunities. And yes, of course, be active on LinkedIn, other recruiting websites which that are there, Glassdoor. These are the website that you need to have your portfolio attached to, and yeah, that's how you're gonna land a great job. For GD, once I got asked if I had some real plan, I didn't. Of course, I have mock-up project design and only a few. I'm just starting. Answer a question like this. Okay. Yukti, never avoid such a question. You need to, since this can be a very repetitive question depending on the kind of work you have, you need to have like a constructive answer. With which the recruiter is probably going to look at your skill set and not what you're showing. And it's really important because what the kind of effort you're putting in needs to be recognized. And I know it's really disappointing at times because I know I've been in that place. I've been asked such questions. So yeah, it I think you need to have like a constructive, you really need to think about it. I don't know, I would like to see what kind of projects you worked on, Yutika. Only then I can answer your question and I can help you with it. Avinash, have you learned to be a stable graphic designer? Well, let me be very transparent. Being a graphic designer, you never are at the top. There's always someone better. There's always someone who is going to know a new software and a different software better than you, and you're always learning. I'm not stable right now, but I know I'm trying to grasp as much knowledge as I can, and I'm trying to learn as much softwares as I can. So counting in, I know Illustrator, Photoshop, Adobe XD, Adobe InDesign, Adobe After Effects on base level, Adobe Premiere on base level, and yeah, these are the kind of softwares that I keep working with constantly. So yeah, you should probably start with these two, because like that's how you're going to be a stable graphic designer, if that's how you want to tag it. But nobody's stable graphic designer, everyone's learning, and I think that's how it should be. Harpreet, with high freshers without any GD degree. Harpreet, about MNCs, one thing I've noticed, they have a automated system for hiring. So if your resume is on point and ticks off all the checklist on the checklist, I think you can be hired even without a GD degree. But you really need to have some sort of background, some sort of art background if you're gonna apply for the graphic design department. Thank you so much. What aspect of branding project should I work as a? And I see the scope is quite vast, starting from user research to collaterals. Yes, user research, R&D is really important when you're starting off with a branding project. Strategy, that's how you're going to build a strategy for a brand. It's not just going to be visual, but practical. And for that, you really need a user research and just in general, study about rival companies, where your brand positions, your brand mission, brand vision, all these things will count in for your start of your brand project. So that's where you need to start. Arnab, Yutika, cool. Definitely Yutika. As you know, what else software should I learn apart from Illustrator and Photoshop? InDesign, very easy, very like fun. You can make magazines, you can make comic book, you can make just a random fictional book, you can make a coffee table book. It's basically, it lets you help how a publication project works, how a publication design works, like how the kind of things that you need to keep in mind when you're working on a publication design project. There are plenty of videos that you can go through to understand publication design, but InDesign is the place to be when you're learning publication design. Of course, you can use Illustrator, but InDesign is constructed so that it has all those indents, the things that are needed for a publication, to understand publication design. Thank you so much for the session. Got to know a lot as I made to make a new portfolio. Great, Kajal. That's a wonderful move. I would love to see what you've been up to very soon. Ishita, one thing to be written in a good point. Okay, you need to have like a description about what you are, about who you are as a designer. It could be very small. It could be not very huge. Obviously, it's gonna be a one single page resume, so you really need to keep it short, because there are other things that need to be mentioned in a resume, which is basically your name, what your skill, what you tag yourself as. I tag myself as a visual communicator and an illustrator, so that will count, be right below my name. Then comes the description, my who I am as a designer. That's another thing. Your email address, your portfolio link, or like your portfolio name or your contact detail, that needs to be there on your resume. Then comes the breakdown of your journey, where you studied, what your um, where you graduated from, and so on. Then comes the kind of experiences that you've had so far, being a graphic designer. Then on the right, you could, then the other things that need to be included in a resume are your skill sets, what sort of softwares you're good at. Make sure you do not show how much you're good at. People usually often have a habit of throwing a radars right below the logo of the software. Please don't do that. That's not how you can show how much you're good at it. You can either just place the logo that these are the softwares that I am good at. At least you don't have to mention that I'm good at this, I'm good at that. You can just place that. Recruiter will know that you know how to use this. Often, if you see the description, recruiter describes the job, uh, has the is looking for someone who's ready to learn, who's ready to grasp new knowledge. So it's not needed for you to be on your A1 game with a specific software. So these are the things that need to be there on your portfolio. Experience and the kind of skills that you have are the two most important things that need to be there on your resume. I know, thanks for the insight. Avinash. Thanks for the Avinash. Should I do it also along with designing, or should I only focus on design? Okay, Avinash, designing. You're editing a video, that's also designing. Let's just be very clear. Like, design is a very huge aspect, literally. Like, there are different sections under it, under designing, which is FVD, video editing design. Then there's graphic design. So you really need to clear out your mind on that. But yes, you can definitely explore video editing, because if you're planning to go to a design school, you will be taught how video can be edited. Since we have many projects done by college students. Any links you can definitely, Sanskruti, you can get back to me and DM me for the same. I can share you links and I can guide you how you can make your InDesign journey simpler. Harpreet, can you show as an example of beginner GD? Definitely, Harpreet, you can get back to me. You can DM me and ask me questions about the same. Okay. Oh, that's really great. Data insights to design team. How do I present that? I feel I'm not sure how data analyst job works, but I do have friends who have been into this industry, and I've seen the kind of work they've done, and it's mostly visual as far as I know, and mainly theoretical as well. So I feel you can use Behance as a platform where you can use this platform to show what kind of work you've been doing, the kind of projects, the kind of experience that you have. That you can definitely portray it in the same manner, like I was showing earlier. Great, Ishita. Would love to connect with you. It is Octobering, Sanskriti. That's right. Harpreet, what is the difference between an illustrator and a graphic designer? Well, an illustrator completely focuses on like bringing thoughts to life, not life in general, but like basically bringing it into a visual world. And a graphic designer basically has a lot of other things. Like it's a bigger aspect, has a bigger aspect. So there's no difference as such. The only barrier would be? I'm really not sure how to answer that because, like, I keep doing both simultaneously, and I feel both do go hand in hand. Being a graphic designer, I feel I've used a lot of my illustrations as part of my graphic design portfolio. And being a graphic designer, there are many things that I've used in my illustrations. So it really has no bigger difference, but there is a difference in between. I really don't know how to put it in words, but I would love to answer that very soon. But that's a really great question, Harpreet. Sanskriti. Yes, Sanskriti, that's my um, Instagram handle. You can connect with me over there. And yeah, you guys, if you guys have any more questions, drop in here, or you can get back to me on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you want to connect with me. I'll be free to give you insights. Is learning video identity part to learn for a great, Sanskruti. We'll see you soon, meet you soon, talk to you soon. Not meet, but like definitely talk to you soon. Being an illustrator is a part of our personal excellence, not logo, banners, posters. That's right, Kajal. Very well said. It's just I've never really seen a difference in between them though. Like I said, I've always used things I've made as an illustrator in my graphic design portfolio, and being a graphic designer, I've used many elements in my illustration projects. So yeah, that's the difference, like Kajal mentioned. But the bigger aspect of it, it does goes hand in hand. Harpreet, it's not necessary for a beginner, but if you're in a design school, that's something that you'll be taught as a beginner. And I feel if you're learning it on your own, it's not something you should start with because it can be a little overwhelming and a little complex. But you can start with basic things like making gifs, and this could be done not just only on After Effects or Premiere Pro, but it can be done on Photoshop. And Photoshop has an animation um, feature where you can edit your video, make a video on the same platform where you've created a vector illustration. So yeah, I can share with you a few links for the same, which could be great for you to start with if you're wanting to learn basic animation skills. Because that's how I started learning video editing as well, from Photoshop to After Effects to Premiere Pro. Cool, you guys. This was really wholesome. I was anxious in the beginning, but you guys have been super sweet. Would love to connect with each one of you if you would love the same. But yeah, I hope this was helpful, insightful, and I hope I did change your thoughts about how design is. Yes, Jackson, Ishita, great. Thank you so much, guys. All right, see you. Great, you guys. Bye. Thanks to you guys for being patient with me and being such good listeners. It was a great learning session for me too. So, thank you. Bye.